day, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Warframe guide, this time looking at the finesses of Kuva. Now, you might be wondering, Makari, what is Kuva? Kuva is a mystical resource in Warframe that allows you to roll ribbons and build certain weapons and items. However, for the most part, it is specifically used for the rolling and re-rolling of ribbons. Kuva is obtained in several different fashions. You are able to obtain it from either doing bounties on the Plains of Eidolon. If you have a Kuva reward from those, they will have a 6.9% chance of giving you a Kuva reward. And you also then have the sorties, which can give you, I believe, 6,000 Kuva. And that has a 14% chance of giving you Kuva. So neither of these are significantly guaranteed ways of getting Kuva, but they do then have the ability of potentially giving you some as you're doing other things. Now, the main way you're going to go about getting Kuva is you will use the Kuva missions. Now, the Kuva missions spawn on the two closest planets to the Kuva fortress. Normal missions will have a Kuva icon replace their normal icon. What will happen is, you will then have the option of a Kuva Siphon and the regular mission. If you sign up to the Kuva Siphon, you will do the mission as per the normal, but somewhere during the mission, you will have a Kuva Siphon appear. Your objective is to then kill the Kuva Siphon, and then obtain the Kuva from doing that. We'll have a video, we'll have an example of this in a moment, but you have two types of Kuva missions. You have Kuva Siphon, which gives you 500 to 700 Kuva when it pops, and the Kuva Flood, which is the exact same, but a level 100 variant, but gives you 1,000 to 1,200 Kuva. This does get affected by Smeetikavats and also resource boosters. So if you bring the resource booster you can buy from the marketplace, you can double your income with Kuva. The Smeetikavat Charm buff, which is a mod that you can give the Smeetikavat, also works subsequently quite nicely with this as well. This is all about optimizing the potential income. So Charm is something you definitely want if you're intending on doing Kuva runs. This will then also works with another avenue that you can farm for Kuva as well. Now, if you want the general summary as to the best way of farming Kuva, then what you would do is you would, and this is the way that I find works tremendously well, you would get your sorties out of the way first, so that you could potentially get that Kuva reward. And if you don't get it, obviously, you know, you've still got your sorties out of the way. Now, I would always recommend that the best way of getting Kuva is to do the Kuva Flood first. Once the Kuva Flood is done, go and do the Kuva Siphons if you wish. If you have an optimized team with people with who have Smeetikavats who can do these very quickly, you would want to then do the Siphons, bearing in mind that you want to make this time efficient. If you get a spy mission or a defense mission for the Kuva Siphons, or a mobile defense for a spy mission, Kuva mission, it might not be so advisable to do it, as you want to make this time efficient. If you spend too long doing a Kuva Siphon mission, you might as well have gone and done a Kuva Survival at that point. But personal preference, get the Kuva missions out of the way, and then if you've gotten them all out of the way, or you don't feel like doing the other Kuva missions, then you can also go and do the Kuva Survival. The Kuva Survivals is on Taviuni on the Kuva Fortress, and we will give an example as to how you farm Kuva from this in a moment. What we're going to do now is we're going to show you the Kuva Siphons and the, how to farm Kuva from those, and then we'll show you the Kuva Siphon after. Alright, so now we're in the Kuva Siphon mission. We're now going to go in an adventure. So as per the norm of a mission of this nature, you would go about doing the mission as you would, and you will go look for the Kuva Siphon. The Kuva Siphon will appear on your minimap as you go through the mission, and it will appear with another little Kuva icon. You'll also know you're getting close because you'll start seeing Kuva Guardians. But we're going to quickly zoom ahead until we find the thing, and then we'll show you what you got to do. Little thing to note is that it does tend to spawn quite linearly. So if you're doing an exterminate, it will generally spawn ahead of you. However, it does have a tendency of also spawning in some very random rooms. So look everywhere. If you spend more than 5 minutes trying to find the Kuva Siphon, you might be better off just leaving and going back in and hoping that it spawns closer to where you start. So, we have found the Kuva Siphon. So this weird blimp-looking thing is what we're here for. Now, as you can see, we're getting Kuva Guardians spawning around the thing itself. So we have to get rid of these guys. You have to use your operator to be able to knock them down to get rid of their immunity. and then just blast them down as you would any normal enemy. These guys can be quite annoying, but they do drop obvious components as well as some rare materials here or there. They're not anything too tremendous to deal with, but they can be quite annoying. Everything else is based around Kuva sentience, even on Corpus missions or infested missions, you will still get these Grineer enemies. So bringing corrosive or viral is going to be a very good way of getting rid of them. So what you're going to be doing, the Kuva siphon has 4 tendrils, and it's exactly the same in the Flood. These tendrils need to be destroyed in order for you to get the Kuva. Now, in a timer, a singular Kuva tendril will raise like that, and it'll start sucking Kuva towards it. In the direction it's facing, a Kuva blob will spawn. This Kuva blob is needed to be destroyed in order for you to to destroy the tendril. Now, the Kuva blob itself is very obvious. It is a giant floating red blob of Kuva. What you need to do is you need to block it with your operator, or jump into it with your operator, or destroy it by shooting it with your frame, your operator even. Either of those work, but once it's destroyed, the tendril's destroyed, and then all you got to do is rinse and repeat every single time a Kuva blob spawns, and then you shall be Gucci. However, have a little bear in mind that sometimes the Kuva is a little bit buggy, and it can sometimes spawn in the wall. If that happens, you either need to be using some kind of AoE amp or Void Blast to maybe see if you can hit it out of the wall. If it does happen, you might just have to lump it and try and deal with it. But once all the Kuva has been destroyed and the siphon blows up, wherever this thing is, where is this last one? Somebody's probably found it. There it goes. So once the siphon's blown up, you then get the Kuva. You get the Kuva that you would then get for the siphon. You then complete the mission normally, and you evac, and then you get your Kuva. So I got double the amount of Kuva because I had a resource booster. If my charm from my Smeeta Kavat had procced, I would have then got double that as well. So it's all about optimizing your potential income of Kuva. Okay, so now we're going to take a quick look at the Kuva survival. So this is the Kuva survival. Tavauni on the Kuva Fortress. You start the mission as per the norm. But what you're going to be doing in place of this now is you're going to be looking for the survival oxygen tanks things. Those things that Lotus gives you. Now, setup-wise, you want to bring some form of crowd control, because what's going to be happening is you're going to be protecting the oxygen supplies. When an oxygen supply spawns, or the life support system, sorry, you're going to get a dude that spawns near it with a marker on them. When this dude dies, he drops a Kuva catalyst, which when inserted into the life support system, turns it into a Kuva siphon. And your objective is to defend it for a minute. Every Kuva siphon that completes its timer gives you 200 Kuva, doubling with resource boosters, and then can also double again if you have a Smeeta Kavat. So you can be very lucky, and this is all about RNG. You have the potential of getting a lot of Kuva from this, but it does all come down to RNG as to what procs you get. So you want a defensive-based frame, Slover, Limbo, anything that can hold down the area much more effectively is very good. I personally adore using Limbo with a good range build, or just a minimum range build if you're in a pickup group, so that you can keep control of the area around the siphon. But the objective is pretty much the same. You stay in here for as long as you can. You get as many of the Kuva siphons done as possible. And to make up, because when you end up converting a life support system into a siphon, you only get half of the overall oxygen when it finishes. So to subsidize this, you would need to bring a Necros so that you can start converting the life support nodes that drop from the enemy and duplicate them with the Necros' Desecrate. So an ideal setup for this, it's sort of down to personal preference, but having a Necros is almost mandatory if you intend on doing a long-winded run of this. So as you can see, we've already got 400 Kuva from the first one we popped. If we get super lucky, we might get something more. But this is essentially the entirety of doing the survival. You keep the siphon defended, you keep going as long as you can, you slash-based weapons with a Necros to get as many life support systems and life support nodes down as possible. Keep burning through until you feel as though you're done, and then leave. And generally speaking, when you run through this, the By the time you've done your Kuva survival, by the time you've done your Kuva flood, and then a few Kuva siphons, to then do a 20-minute Kuva survival, the Kuva flood should then in theory respawn once you're done. The nodes generally reset every 30 to 45 minutes, and the Kuva fortress does tend to move around the map as well. So keep an eye on where they are, time out your Kuva floods, and try and optimize the amount of Kuva you get by just keeping a good time on where things are and when they're spawning. When you get into a good routine of this, you can make a lot of Kuva in a very short space of time, so long as you're optimizing your income in any way you can. But a lot of this comes down to personal preference, and at the very least I hope this guide has been beneficial. Anything I have said has obviously been through my personal experience and what I've come to do myself. A lot of this can then be tweaked to your preference, and hopefully at the very least you've learned something. If not, you know, whatever. If you have enjoyed the video though, do leave a comment as to other guides you would like to see. Do consider subscribing to the channel as well. Turn on the notifications button, become part of the notification squad, or whatever that is these days. If you enjoy it, then yeah, tell me and I'll do more. And if you feel like coming to join us, this was streamed during my Twitch streams. There'll be a link to my Twitch channel down in the description as well. And I'll see all of you top hatters in the next episode. I've probably forgotten something. Oh well, ta-ra!